So,
What's up?
what's up? How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hungry, but I have some domas in here, kidogo domas, and I'm also sipping on some coffee. So I think I'll be good in like the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay, I'm gonna give you food for your soul as well, so it'll
Yes, my favorite kind of food.
it'll nourish your soul too. You know.
Okay, how are you?
How are you? Oh, you asked. Oh no, it's
You already asked me how I am,
yeah,
which I'm doing great.
which you're doing great. I'm doing well as well.
What is something you're feeling strongly about this week or this month?
Wow, something I'm feeling strongly about this week or this month is actually showing up at the highest level
Mm,
of self in whatever endeavor or whatever activity I do.
what does that mean?
It's so easy to have us.
Mm,
It's so easy to fall for the trap that, I want to do something because I want to make some cash.
mm.
But if that thing is mediocre, then you'll be known as that guy who takes cash and does mediocre,
Work,
you know? So I've been very excited about just like tapping into that, giving myself the permission to actually fully immerse myself into whatever it is I'm doing.
Mhm.
And it's not even just the commercial things. It's not even just
Mhm.
the things that could possibly bring revenue or possibly bring clients, but every other thing, like I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the intentionality that I spend with my son now, in terms of timing. I'm excited about um, being intentional about even our relationship. I'm excited about creating this content. Um, um, yeah, I don't know. What are you excited about? Or what's the one thing that's
I am, goodness, I feel excited about so many different things, but definitely the main thing I feel excited about is this podcast. Um, I'm very excited about finally doing the things that I love to do and giving myself permission to do those things. So I dance more often now, although I haven't danced of late so much.
but you
Like I need to
danced?
dance
Yeah,
juicy.
like a day ago.
Yes, but I still
Yeah.
haven't danced as much as I really want to. However, I am just in a space where I want to enjoy life. And I want to give myself permission to enjoy life in the way that feels most authentic and truthful to me. Um, and so that definitely means my relationships. It means the food that I eat. It means allowing myself to dance a lot more often. It means recording this podcast
Yeah.
because really this podcast allows a space for me to just really be myself, just really talk and let out some of the pent up energy I always have because I talk a lot more than you do, I believe, and I feel like I'm more of a ball of energy. And this is
And
almost
I'm a
feels
square
like
of energy.
you are probably a dot of energy.
But,
In comparison to me, like
but
you.
isn't a dot of energy still a ball? It's just scaled.
No, because a dot is probably flat since a dot lies on the surface of a paper and a ball is three-dimensional. So no, you have not come back. So so where was I even? Anyway, guys, this week, this month, I am just looking forward to enjoying my life and the things that I love to do. Also,
Okay.
this month, a week ago, marked the 4th month of my goals. I had a 6-month goal plan that I think I told you about a while back, but I've completed 4 months and
Wow.
I'm really, really excited. And I have seen nothing but tremendous growth in those 4 months. And so now this kind of feels like, that part where the growth is now becoming even more. Like we're recording podcasts, we are posting more often, we are taking ourselves out there, we are doing different things. And so I have seen so much growth. And my 6 months end on December 11th. that is something I'm so excited about. And I have to celebrate it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
talked a lot.
Fair enough. No. Let's go. Um, there's something you mentioned about, we're recording podcasts, and we're also like intentionally going out there to reignite, relationships.
Relationships.
So that brings
Yeah.
us to our topic of the day. Basically, how to leverage networks, or like what key networks can do for you, or even just how to briefly we'll touch on how to also like maintain
These
or how to
relationships.
create such networks basically.
Change. Hakuna msee atakusaidia, ukijisaidia atakukazia. Isi mshuto, mimi nasafisha hewa.
Personally, I've been on a hiatus of maybe like 3 years.
You and I both.
You
You more than me, but you and I both. We should give guys
and
context on that.
we should give guys context. Yeah, basically because we had a COVID baby, and it has taken the both of us 3 years to sort of like recover fully in terms of, imagine 3 years to recover fully in terms of just like tapping, and not necessarily tapping back into who we were, but you evolve when you become a
Oh
parent,
yeah.
right?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
But basically just being able to see how you can be able to innovate your past exploits, really, how you can be able to make them mesh and merge into the person you've become now. So I was the ball of energy before having a child. So I was basically, because based on where this content is published, it's Jamhuri events, right? So we did so many events, and I basically knew Nairobi.
You were at the center of all those events and the movement around
yeah,
those events.
and so that meant I knew a lot of people. I still know a lot of people. I'm just repurposing my knowledge of those people and how I can be able to sort of like be of value to them, and how they can be able to be of value to me, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel obviously the same way. I am a content creator all through and through, from conception to distribution, publishing. I work as a content manager, content creator, and content strategist.
And do you
And I
feel
used to
content?
very content, yes.
Sure, I didn't.
And of course, before COVID, before we had that baby, I was very, very active in content creation. And once we had our baby and COVID happened, we just went into a cave and just really enjoyed being in that cave, just us. And we did lose connection to the outside world. And we realized after a while that we need to nurture the relationships and the networks that we have intentionally, because we pretty much lost that social relationship, that power that we had before. And also just because we care about these people, we care about the people that we've made connections with. Most of them, we've worked with them, we know them personally. They're just people that we would love to keep up with and see how they are doing, but our life was all consuming for those 3 years. So now our son is a little more grown up, and we're like, we need to get back in the game. And so now, let's just all go through this journey together, networking and making these relationships happen. What is networking to you? How do you see it?
So, I think I'm gonna be very. What is networking? Basically, making a network. In simple terms, there's this thing. I think Einstein said it. If you're not able to like explain a concept to an intelligent, I don't know, like was it like 12-year-old or something, then you also haven't fully understood the concept. So I'm gonna speak as a 12-year-old. Basically, how I'd look as
You're speaking to a 12-year-old. You want to speak as a 12-year-old?
yes, because then I'll be able to. If I speak to a 12-year-old, I can speak to a 12-year-old like a 60-year-old.
You can
know,
simplify what
but
you're
I
about
can
to say
exactly,
for a 12-year-old, but you don't have, but
exactly.
talking like a 12-year-old, I mean, I'd be interested
Okay,
in seeing
that's
that.
debatable. But for me, speaking as a 12-year-old, in terms of just like sort of understanding what networking is, I'd look at it as, a fish net, right? I'd look at it as how a fish net works. It's usually a square, right? But that's just a portion of it. For it to actually work, you need all the other squares to come together. All the other small squares to come together, then you have a net, and a net that will actually be able to catch fish. If you have a hole in the net, if one line of the square breaks, then you have a slightly bigger square, which allows for fish to pass through. But you want it to be compact enough for you to be able to get a lot more fish. So for me, networking is basically that, making sure that all the small circles, all the small spaces are intact and together for it to work. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, networking for me is just meeting new people or people you already know
Mm.
who are in the industry that you work at, or a new industry that you don't know or don't have experience in, and you're just creating new relationships with these people and sustaining those relationships so that they can have some kind of positive outcome for both of you guys, right? Whether that positive outcome is a job opportunity, or it is just a, like a successful outcome in terms of your goals or your business, right? So that is what networking is to me, and what is the last networking event that you went to, or which is which is the last place that you were at that you networked
That I networked
Yeah.
at a birthday party, a kid's birthday party. And we were basically, and I feel like that's actually a different kind of space from what I used to network at traditionally. But basically, it was high profile kids or high profile parents. Basically, it wasn't just, like, oh, it's a birthday party, let's go and sit down and make the party our own kind of situation. It was really centered around the kids. But what that allowed me to see is actually people that I can be able to have. Because I feel like networking is always, you look at the
Of
long
course.
game perspective.
The long play.
Long play,
Game.
yeah, no, long play. You look
Yeah.
at the long play, and when you see how people treat their children, it sort of shows you their authenticness, because there's a certain way parents view their children, because I mean that's a seed of their lineage, and a responsibility that they take up for the rest of their lives. So when you see how they interact with their kids, it sort of gives you a perspective of who they are. Like I had amazing conversations with some guys around diet, around um, um, livelihood, around um, feeling, around parenting, around empathy, around such like things that make me think, there's something in this person's character that I value, or these values that we share. And that was actually the most recent, because it was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That was the most
And we
recent.
went there together.
And we went there together, yeah, I know. And right immediately after shooting this podcast, I'm actually rushing to another, maybe not rushing, but I'm going to another, like, uh, um, it's not even an event, but it is an event of some kind, where I'm going to network with other people in the space that I'm in. I'm offering a solution to some creatives, and they're going to consult, and all of that. And it's basically the entire production team. So I'm going to meet other people that I haven't necessarily met, but I'm going to live there knowing that I know other people in the industry that, I didn't know. So
Hmm.
I'm excited about that too, But how about you?
Honestly, I haven't been to a lot of events where I've gone to network with, like where I've gone knowing that I am going to network and I want to. Actually, no, 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 no. Now that I think about it, I went to Physically Fit. For those who don't know Physically Fit, it's this event for women by Chiki Kuruka and Just Ivy Africa, and they just bring women together to discuss health issues, wealth creation, and people have a lot of fun and dance. So of course I was there because dancing, and because fun and women, and it was really such a wonderful place to go to because I met so many women, and at that event, I actually went knowing that I wanted to network, knowing that my goal was to leave that place with a client or two. It was literally my goal.
Mm,
And so when I went there, because not so many people go for that event, like around 30 women, I think, at most, at least the event that I went to didn't have that many women. And so it was a lot easier to talk to each other, to know what this lady does, what that lady does. And that event was really wonderful. I really enjoyed it and also
mm.
realized that I definitely love holding conversations and talking to people and knowing people and connecting to new people.
Do you feel like you have a formula for networking?
I do not have a formula for networking. However, I'm open to forming one because
Mm,
I'd love to have more concrete results, like when I go out and I meet people. Because sometimes I feel like I don't actually see it from a perspective of networking, so I'm not thinking about actually asking them about what they actually do for work, seeing how we can collaborate. Sometimes I can end up just talking about other things and we're just having fun and just talking about other things. But I'd like to be more, what's the word? I'd like to be more intentional. That when I
mm,
go into a space, I meet people, have fun, talk, but also be intentional about what can we do together? How can I benefit you and how can you benefit me in our career or artistic space? So yeah, but usually when I go for an event, all I do is I just smile, I say hi, conversation begins, flows naturally. I walk away and then talk to somebody else. So more intentionality for me.
mm.
Yeah.
I have a couple actually. I have probably
Yes.
like maybe 8 or 9 things that I look at
Mm-hmm.
as I build
Mm-hmm.
networks.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is I believe in purpose driven networking, and basically, it's the network needs to be just simply put from the words driven by each person's purpose. So I need to know what your purpose really is, like, are you fulfilling your purpose? Is that really what you're like, is that really what you're working on currently, or are you working on something that's just gonna give you that extra buck? For me, I feel that's usually very important for me. Like when, like say for example, like right now, um, like I mentioned, after this podcast, I'm going to consult, um, offer like consulting services to creatives. There's two amazing creatives actually, Ethan and Kinoti. They're doing an amazing show coming up, and one of the things that I like about wanting to even what's it water that network is basically I consume I consumed their music, right?
Yeah.
And I listen to it and I just checked out what they're up to, what they're doing with their journey, and see what they're really like. They're really aiming to push boundaries in the creative space. They're really aiming to actually change the narrative in the creative. I'm like, okay, cool. Outside their music, because there's many musicians, outside their music, they are actually very intentional in changing
Mm-hmm.
the narrative, which then highlights a segment of their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just entertaining. You get
Mm-hmm.
like, they have a purpose that's impactful. Great. I want to be able to, why we're even doing this podcast, we want to upskill, we want to do all those things, we want to make sure that there's no skill mismatch, all those things, right? Like, okay, cool. So if this other, artists who are doing something that's also like purpose driven, like, cool, that's a network to be able to maintain, because then it gives room for long term, because long play is always the best.
Of course.
It gives room for long play, because therein is where generational success is born. Therein is where generational wealth is born. And so that's one of the things that's usually very important to me, is I have to understand your purpose. And even outside the creative space, um, one of the other networks that I've really been able to maintain for a long time is, okay, cool. What are you really keen on or purpose to do? That person is just an out and out business person. You get, and you realize that to an extent that's actually their purpose, and it's generational. Like, as in, their mother was an exceptional business person who started a solution, was offering like telecoms, just like amazing solutions in terms of distribution and all of that. And they've been able to then create a lot more companies within that network. And he's picked up on the same breath, and is just, an amazing, exceptional business developer, right? And I'm like, okay, that sort of seems like something that you're really purposeful and intent on. Because the first time I interacted with that person, okay, not the first time I interacted with them from that perspective of going with the concept, they told me, actually, no, it's an amazing concept, but it doesn't make business sense. And to truth to that statement, we've been able to maintain a relationship for that long, because you're like, okay, cool, this person is a business developer, and that's sort of their purpose, to sort of like show people how they can be able to grow their business, how they can be able to grow their franchise, how can they can be able to open up to new markets. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's cool. That's something that I'd love to, it aligns with the purpose, because I want to be able to show this to creatives as well. So whenever we link up, of course we talk about, yeah, how's everything doing, going, and all of that. But we also like very intentional on, yeah, how can we be able to grow the business side of this? How can we be able to grow? And and in there, he tells me about how he wants to, like, what his goals are in the near future and in the long term, how they've developed from the last time we spoke. I tell him about what my goals are in the same breath, and then we're like, do we see any room for intersection? And it's really purpose driven. That's crucial for me. You know, I don't know
I see
if,
what you.
yeah.
I don't think about like someone's purpose when because I feel like I'm more like a fun-go-lucky person, and so usually
What's fun? Fun?
fun-go-lucky, like just happy-go-lucky is what people say, but I just used fun instead of happy. But it's just a flowing with the moment kind of person. More on just the connection and the laughter and the storytelling and the joy that just comes from that connection. Just vibes, with networking, of course. So, but usually I will ask, like, what do you do if I get to that point, or if I'm intentional about it, I'll ask, what do you do, and then see how that can work. But one thing I noticed about myself is that I usually will just take the number, and then afterwards we'll have an idea about how we can work together. Then I usually do it afterwards. But usually in that moment of meetup, it's usually just enjoying. But I think it's really because I haven't actually gone to an event where it's I haven't in a while gone to an event where it's just for networking. even the one that I went to, that physically fit, I didn't actually go just for networking, even though that was a big part of it. But I also really wanted the fun. I wanted to dance. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to learn about all these things that they were talking about. And so I usually feel like possibly because of that, like I haven't been very on like, what do you do? What do I do? What can we do? You know. But I see how helpful that can be. You know.
I hear you. And I think one of the things that I picked out, that's one, actually, I wanted to point out that that's one of the facets that I look into. And even in your, I won't say response, but even in your comment on the same, I picked out, okay, yeah, cool, definitely. It's not that purpose is the only, okay, what's your purpose? And no, your purpose doesn't align. Okay, it's important for me. And so usually when I speak conversational, maybe that's how I interact. Like I won't just, hey, what's your number? Like I really want to like know, okay, so what's the thing that makes your heart, like I want to hear you speak about something that you're passionate about, in there. And this will bring me to a second sort of like trait, is in there I'll be able to see shared values and shared goals, because in you speaking passionately about this thing that you want, like as in when you met me, I was almost speaking, always almost speaking about music and art,
Because you love music and art.
and you're able to then tell this person really loves music. And
Yeah.
then when you dive deeper, then you're like, this is the kind of music. Now you layer it, like this is the kind of music that this person listens to. I could probably listen to that too, or that's the kind of music that I listen to as well. So it means we can probably spend our time. So in the same breath, okay, cool. I'll pick out what your underlying purpose is, but then as you continue, or as we continue to converse, be like, now I see shared goals. I see shared, like shared visions, or I see shared,
similarities, basically.
shared similarities.
And human beings love that.
Yeah, and the thing about shared goals is, okay, sir, I'll take your number, but it doesn't mean that now, tomorrow, hey, what's up? Let's, because it's a vision. The thing about visions is visions aren't instantaneous.
They could or could not be.
They could or could not be. Most often they're not. Like I'll be, okay, cool, I want to play at Coachella, for example. First of all, we're recording this video in October. Coachella doesn't happen until next year. You get? Or any other conference, or any other, it doesn't, like, just as an example. So then, okay, that's a shared goal. Then I probably won't hit you up tomorrow to see about, how we can be able to, once then I've thought through, or I've actioned a bit of my vision, and then that missing link, like, I need to be able to tap into this. Then as you're brainstorming in that, like, I remember meeting this guy who also does this and really loves this. And because of a shared goal, because of a shared, so that's another thing for me that usually I tick off. And it's not that, listen, I don't go to any place and just like have a shared goal check. Shared, like as in it's I guess over time you start realizing, if you have your own clear, if you're fulfilling your purpose, you have your own clear goal, then as you interact with people, to an extent, it's not that you see even like this person won't be helpful, but it's sort of like you start to be able to see this person can be helpful immediately with regards to the vision. Of course, can be helpful in any other thing,
Yes.
at that time, but like with regards to like your goal or purpose, like, I'm not at this stage yet, but this is actually a very important person to know. This is actually a very important person to network with, or to create a network with, because eventually when I go into deep sea fishing, I'll need a bigger net, or I'll need a stronger net that's made out of, because it gets windier the deeper I go into the sea, So be like, okay, that's actually a very important person to actually, you know. So
Having your team, yeah.
having your team, yeah.
Yeah, and you know something I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the Southeast Soul show, the VIP
Mm.
show. I think that's gonna be a great space to network with
Mhm.
people because I imagine, of course, I don't know how it's going to be, but I imagine it's going to be first of all it's VIP on the what do you call it, on the schedule. What do they call it? Whatever the list of things that are going to happen. There's a word for it. I've just forgotten it. Write it down in the comment section. Remind me. But on the itinerary, I guess I don't know what to call it. But there's dinner, so I can tell it's already going to be a space in which people are also just having conversations or they're having bitings, and I think that's going to be a great networking opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm planning already mentally towards that.
Towards
Being
that.
more, yeah, in accordance to my goal, being more intentional with networking or in
Yeah.
networking, yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's actually valid. Um, I'm. I guess I'll be able to see. I can. That's one of the other projects that I'm also like um,
Involved in it.
involved in, and I can't be able to speak much. I feel like, I wanna like, but I can't be able to speak much about it. I just know that there's a lot of meticulous planning that has gone into making it an intentional space that serves different purposes as regards to, yes, of course, the people who are attending, but even just the people who we're going to celebrate.
Absolutely, it's the
Speaking
results
of, yeah,
best show.
speaking of, another thing that I feel is actually crucial in maintaining networks. I feel like I've already jumped into maintaining networks, but it's just jumping off of what you've talked about. Celebrating your networks is actually very, very
Mm.
important. This is a lesson that I was reminded recently by my brother, but we actually picked it up. We were taught indirectly by my dad when we were young. Of course, these days it's almost Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So everyone is just gonna send out, happy holiday cards. Some will send out with gifts as well to,
Some will send WhatsApp messages.
some will send WhatsApp messages. And I remember, like, when we were kids, we used to go and buy cards with my dad,
Mm-hmm.
gift cards,
Mm.
and and sometimes even like couple it with gift vouchers. And he'd come back and write, no, 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 the Otieno's family. Happy holidays, blah, blah, blah. And like, who are we going to write to? We're going to write to, oh, this person. We're going to write to this, we're going to write to this person. Or sometimes, even if it's not a happy holidays thing, it would be, there's this person's birthday. We have to celebrate. Or this person has had a great milestone. Let's actually go and celebrate this person because of, and that's actually a very important like facet,
100%, yeah.
and because and just because of that, like and it's not until you're doing it, make it a habit. You're not doing it because you're expecting to get something out of it, but just because it's a good practice to be able to show your network that in truth you're really invested in their success as well. You're really invested in their story. You want to see, you see and are happy for them when things work out for them in accordance to their goals, and because of that, honestly, I'd actually like to take this opportunity to just shout out to Soti. So man, I've learned a lot from you guys. I've learned a lot both on the field, or is it in the field, um, from a very young age, and being able to see and be a part of your journey from your very first ticketed show when I was basically a ticket agent at 15 to 15 years later, actually playing a crucial role in your production for your last dance. Man, I'm just celebrating you guys for the amazing, impeccable journey that you guys have gone through. All the amazing steps that you've taken to enhance how we see the creative industry, how we structure the creative industry, how we approach the creative industry. This is me giving you your flowers. You are amazing. We celebrate you. Thank you so much for what you've done for the African and to an extent global music industry.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any, now that we're on that like celebratory
Well, wait, I don't know what to say because you've already like captured that point.
I hear you, fair enough.
Yeah. So unless you just give me another point, because so that it's a back and forth.
Um I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you diversify your networking?
In what sense? What do you mean diversify my networking? Do you mean the people that I network with?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm a huge fan of just going to different places. I don't limit myself to just one place that because I'm a video editor, I only have to be among video editors because I'm a photographer. I only have to be among photographers. No, I am a very huge fan of leaving this house and going to different places.
I think one of the other, I'm actually reading, just referencing a bit of a note that I had written. But basically, of course, value-based relationship in terms of, yeah, I think we even touched briefly on this earlier, but like one of the key things that I see as important for networking is not just what value you get from them, but also what value you offer.
Absolutely.
And this even touches on, for the longest time, I used to feel like whatever sale I make was actually to make money, and now with the experience that I have, I feel like that's such a great misconception because that shouldn't be the primary. The secondary is, the primary is rather actually being able to build a client or a customer. Because if you can sell something and get money and never be able to sell that again.
Yeah.
Or to that person again. If your intention is to make money. But if your intention is to actually be able to add value, then you're able to get a customer who will always call. I'll be honest, a repeat customer. One of the reasons I'm actually like really always learning new skills or different things. In 2016, I was learning how to do visuals. I remember Savara, for example, being like, like he stumbled upon me geeking out on, okay, so this is how these things work, and I offered them that as a solution. It added value.
Yeah.
Then a few years later, they're like, hey, what's up? Can you? So I came and offered the same thing, but I gave them something else. It added value. I went on and did talent development for Soul Generation. It added value. They're like, hello. That's why even years later, as they're doing their last show, hi, So I've been able to then journey, and that's just one, but like if you're able to, I'll be honest, I'll be 100% frank. I've had instances where I'm actually just gonna do this for money. And I don't interact with those like people, and of course not anymore, but like they've been skeptical to call me again because I wasn't considering value first. And not just the value I'm getting in terms of...
The value you're giving them.
In terms of the value I'm giving, and I feel like that's one of the crucial things in terms of being able to network.
Yeah, you have to offer value. Honestly, like the market responds to value. So even honestly, even if you're coming from a place of wanting to make money, that's fine. I mean, I understand that some people are in very tight positions. Like, let's say, 6 months you haven't paid rent and you're like, I need to make money. I mean, I get it, but of course, as you think about the money, you think about the value, because as you've said, it's a long play, right?
yeah.
You want repeat customers, you want repeat clients, and the way to have that is to really just give them really great value.
Being able to consistently actually offer value.
Yeah, offer value, and then that in turn will translate to the money you actually want or the experience. Don't be afraid to just talk to somebody, to ask about who they are, about what they do. Don't be afraid to wear a cloak of confidence, even if you don't feel it inside yourself. Don't be afraid to do it, because you never know what's going to come out of it. And people, most of the time, if you're confident, they will also acknowledge your presence and smile with you and talk to you, etc. Remember that people are usually also just as anxious about social interactions as you probably are. So most of the time, like, you're in a place, you want to say hi to people, you just have this feeling inside you where, like, your gut is tightening because you're a little afraid of saying hi to this group of intimidating people. But remember that they too can be intimidated by you, or even might be intimidated by you. So again, just wear your cloak of confidence and just go ahead and, like, network and get to meet people and talk to them and have their contact information, etc. Just go for it.
My parting shots is having a mindset of growth is super crucial for not just building a network, but maintaining a network. Just going back to what I started with as a definition for network, basically small boxes put together make the big net work, right? So basically that means just having a growth mindset. And sometimes you have to learn things or be in a space that you haven't been in to actually grow. Going back to the net analogy, sometimes you have to tie a tighter knot. Sometimes you actually have to take the threads, cross one another, or just like intertwine with one another to make a stronger string for the net to actually be strong and firm. And that basically will allow it to not succumb. So open yourself to growth, and in so being, it means that when you're networking, you actually have to be a very active and intentional listener.
True.
Again, it's not about what you get alone, it's about what you're also able to give. So you won't know what you're able to give that's of value if you're only looking to get. So it means you also have to be open to listening.
And people can feel that energy if it's all about you. Yeah,
that's true. So you have to be open to that too. And I feel like that's really it for me. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to ring the bell. Thank you. This has been
guys.
the Long Play podcast with Olango
and Jangara. Bye.
Bye.